Okay, class, today we are going to talk about the documentation required by MLA in a research paper. First of all, just as a review, MLA stands for Modern Language Association. This association gives us the guidelines for preparing research papers, projects, in the humanities. When someone says MLA style, they're referring to not only just the way you format your paper, the things that we've already talked about, like double spacing, the heading at the top of your paper, those sorts of requirements, but it's also talking about how you cite any sources that you use. Okay. This information about plagiarism is something we've already talked about. However, it really goes hand in hand with citing our sources. So I want to go over this really quickly. Citing identifies and credits sources used in a research paper or project, acknowledging their role in shaping your research. This also allows others to follow up on or retrieve this material. When you borrow from other sources to support your argument or research, you must give proper credit. By crediting your sources, you avoid plagiarism. If you do not cite a source, you are guilty of plagiarism. And we've discussed what plagiarism means. You have to cite, or else you are committing plagiarism in your paper. Okay? Be careful not to unintentionally plagiarize. If you summarize, paraphrase, or quote another author, another source, you have to credit that source by citing it. Remember that if there's ever any question, if you're ever in doubt as to whether you should cite something or not, cite it. Okay, there are two types of citations. You have to have both of them. Okay. The Works Cited page is what I've mentioned to you most in the past. And you've probably already created your citations for your Works Cited page. The Works Cited page citations is going to have all of the information that you can find about your source. However, you are also going to have to include in-text citations, which are in parentheses, within the body of your essay or paper. And that's where, that's something that may be new to you. Okay, notice at the bottom of the slide, references cited in the text must appear in the Works Cited page. On the flip side of that, if it's on the Works Cited page, it must also be cited in the text. Okay, you're going to see as we continue this conversation that the in-text citations and the Works Cited page citations go hand in hand. They are related explicitly to each other. So if a source is cited one way, it has to be cited the other way. This is not an either or. It's not if I cite it one way, I don't have to cite it the other. Okay? If you use a source, it has to have both types of citations. Okay, here are some guidelines that are given to us by MLA for citations. in-text citations, these references in the text must clearly point to the specific sources in the list of works cited. The works cited citations must identify the location of the borrowed information as specifically as possible. Okay, so the in-text citations are shorthand. They point you to the more extensive information in the works cited page. The overall point of both of these citations is that they work together to help your reader know what information came from where, but not only that, help them find that information if they want to find it in the actual source you used. Okay, so they would be reading your paper, they would see the in-text citation, then they could go to the works cited page and get more extensive information. Okay, so let's talk about in-text citations, because that's the type of citations that we've not talked about as much yet. You must provide information that will allow the reader to clearly locate exactly where you found information in your sources. For in-text citation, that's usually the author's last name and a page number. Okay, so Polar 188 would be an example. Okay, on the slide right here where it says parenthetical reference, okay, in-text citations can also be called parenthetical references or parenthetical citations. Okay, if I say in-text citation, if I say parenthetical citation, I'm talking about the same thing. And really, if you think about it, it makes sense, because look at the word parenthetical. The root word for parenthetical is parentheses. See that? Parenth right there. And the in-text citations are in parentheses. Okay, but here's an example. You have this sentence. It's a piece of information. The average world temperature is rising at an alarming rate of 200 degrees Celsius per year. And then you have the citation. This is the author's last name and the page number where this information was found. Now, if there is no known author of your source, you're just going to use the title and the page number. So you see this example here, you have a sentence of information, and then in parentheses, instead of a name, you have this title and then the page number. Now, the sources we are using for our research paper are websites, and the problem with websites is that a lot of them don't have authors listed, and there's no page numbers because it's not a print source that has separate pages. So you're going to use the same information for your in-text citations, just no number. So you see right here is an example of an in-text citation where there is an author listed. And then here's an example if there isn't an author listed. You just have the title of the article instead. It is worth noting that this article has quotation marks. And this example on this page of the title is italicized. Quotation marks is what you will need to use in your in-text citations and on your Works Cited page, because these are article titles. If you were using a book, books are in italics. But shorter works, like articles, you use quotation marks instead. Okay, now the Works Cited page is going to be a completely separate page at the end of your paper. Everything you referenced in your text must be listed in your Works Cited page. Again, if it's on your Works Cited page, it must also be cited in your essay using an in-text citation. The Works Cited page provides the information needed for a reader to find and retrieve any source used in your paper. Okay, this is an example of what a Works Cited page might look like. There's significantly more information on these citations than the in-text citations.
Let's talk about the additional information that these Works Cited citations will include. The in-text citation is just the author's last name and the page number, or if there's no title, the title and the page number, if there are page numbers. This citation includes the author's name. The last name is going to be first, but it'll have the whole author's name. It also includes the title. It includes publication information, which will include various different things, which you'll see in a minute, and then it'll also include the web address. So a lot of different things in addition to what is in the in-text citation. But there is a definite connection between the in-text citations and the Works Cited page citations, and I want to make sure that we're clear on that. The in-text citation has the author's last name, but if there's no author, it has the title. The Works Cited page has more info, but the very first thing in that Works Cited citation is the author's last name. Or if there's no author, the very first piece of information is the title. Okay, so think about that. The in-text citation directs you to the correct Works Cited page citation. The in-text citation is going to be the very first piece of information found in the Works Cited citation. Look at this example. You have this Works Cited citation. The author's name is Albert Gore. All this other information. The first thing you see about this source is this author's last name. The in-text citation is going to be that same last name. Okay. If there was no author listed, just take that out. Okay, let's say that's our in-text citation, or that's our Works Cited page citation. Regardless of what the citation is, the first piece of the Works Cited citation is going to be what the in-text citation is. You just add a page number if that's relevant. For our online sources, it won't be. Okay, let's talk about the easiest way to create our Works Cited page citations, which is to use EasyBib. Here's the web address, easybib.com. And I've mentioned this resource before. In fact, I told you to use it for your source list on your process packet. So if you've already used EasyBib, you can go ahead and just type up what you wrote down for your source list. However, honestly, it's probably easier to just go ahead and get on EasyBib and do it again and copy and paste the citations into Word. That will require that you go find your internet resources again. So all you have to do is pull up the website you used. This is the website that I've used as an example before. You find your website, go to Google, find your website again. You are going to highlight the web address in the web address bar and copy and paste it into this what looks like a search bar in EasyBib. Now, I want to make a point. You need to make sure that you have MLA 8 in bold. by clicking it. Okay, when you go to the website the very first time, it might be still on MLA 7. You need to use MLA 8, which is the most up-to-date MLA standards. Once you have the web address in this search bar, you're going to click Cite It, and then you just keep on pressing Cite This. Okay, continue to the final step, and it will go ahead and pull up this option where you can add information or change what they have found. And this particular website, EasyBib was able to find all of the information. It found the article title, it found the author, it found everything. If it doesn't, and let me give you an example of one from earlier. A lot of times there will be pieces of information that it can't find, and that's okay, but you always want to go ahead and check yourself, and it may be that that information really isn't there, but you want to double check. So like here, this other website, I went to this website and I'm doing an EasyBib citation for it. Notice that on this website it didn't find everything. It says here's what we'll need your help with, and so that's telling you to go look at the website yourself and see if you can find that information. Also, I want you to notice what they said the author's name was. It says at Mount Vernon, like it's a Twitter handle or something. Okay, that's not appropriate. That's not anything you're ever going to use. So I'm going to delete that. And I'm going to go back to the website and see if I can find an author. And I actually can. Okay, so on this one, I would add the information that I found. The publisher would be the name of the website. The date, this electronically published date, you may not actually find. Down here there's a copyright 2016. You could just put the 2016. Okay, but I'm going to go back to this first example that it did find everything for me. And when you're on this page and you are satisfied with what you have here in these info bars, you're going to click Create Citation, and it created my citation right here for me. Okay, so I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it in a Word document. Okay, I've already done 2 other citations and copied and pasted them from EasyBib just so I would have 3 citations to work with to show you this next step, which is to actually format the Works Cited page. Because even though these are MLA citations with the correct information, this is not the correct form or formatting. Okay, here is an example Works Cited page. Okay, it looks a little bit different. And so what you're going to need to do is, once you've copy and pasted your citations, you have to go through the process of making the formatting fit MLA standards. So I'm going to go back to this one. The first thing I'm going to do is to highlight everything and get this into Times New Roman, 12-point font, double spaced, with no extra space after the paragraphs. Okay. I'm also going to make the text black and make sure that nothing is underlined by clicking this underline twice. And the reason I did that is because web addresses will they're usually blue and underlined when they're copy and pasted from the internet. Okay, so now my paper is formatted so that everything is Times New Roman 12-point font. So I'm going to go back to my example, and you will notice that I have Works Cited centered across the top, just like a title. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Works Cited, just Works Cited, not Works Cited page. I'm going to make that center. You will also notice that you have the last name page number up in the right hand corner, just like the rest of your paper. So if you are doing this in the same document that your paper is already in, then that should already be there for you. If you are doing your works cited in a separate document, which some people do, so some people do that so that if you're doing your works cited in a separate document, then you will have to go in and insert page number, top of the page. It's going to give you a 1. You can go ahead and put your last name in front of it, and then just change that 1 to whatever number page that this is going to be. And you also want to always remember to go in and change that page number information to Times New Roman 12 point, just like everything else. So I'm going to go back to my example works cited page again, and notice, and I'm going to put my ruler up. It's a little bit hard to see on these citations because they are so short, but notice that these are like inverse paragraphs. The first line is not indented. See, it's over here flush with the 1-inch margin. And then the second line is indented, 1/2 inch. And I'm going to just add some mess in here so that you can see that all consecutive lines are indented that 1/2 inch. Okay, that is not something you do yourself by hitting the enter key like you would if you were just indenting the first line of a paragraph. That is done up here on the ruler. Okay, if I show you my ruler on this works cited page I'm working on right now, you will see that both of these little triangles up here, are together. On this example, the bottom triangle is pulled over to 1/2 inch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all of my document, and I'm going to move this bottom triangle over 1/2 inch. Now it's going to take both triangles with me, so I just pull the top one back, and there I have these indentations. This is called a hanging indent. Okay, again, it's the exact opposite of a regular indent. Most paragraphs, the first line is indented. You hit tab, and then all of the consecutive lines are flush with the margin. This is the opposite. The first line is all the way over to the right. All the other margins are indented. You just don't have to indent them yourselves. Okay, and that is your works cited page. Okay, one last time, guys. I know this has been kind of a longer video than some, but I really want to reiterate for you how important it is to have this works cited page and how important it is to have the in-text citations. And I want to show you, now that I have some actual examples, what these in-text citations would be. The in-text citations guide you to the works cited page citations, and the in-text citations are going to be the first piece of information from the works cited page citation. So if you write a sentence or a couple of sentences from this source, your in-text citation is going to be history.com staff. Okay, here you go. History.com staff is the author. It's going to be in parentheses with the punctuation at the end. So you would have a sentence, no punctuation, in-text citation, period. Okay, for this in-text citation, or excuse me, I'm sorry, for this works cited page citation, if you had a sentence from this source, Stockwell would be the in-text citation, just Stockwell in parentheses. This one is going to be a little bit annoying, but if you have a source that doesn't have an author, it's just the name of the source, then you put that name of that name of the source in parentheses. So the in-text citation, for one this long, you can shorten it. So we could just say learning resources for Monticello, but that would be your in-text citation. You would have your sentence or sentences that you got the information from that source, and then you would have that in parentheses with a period afterward, after your sentence. Okay, you're not going to include the in-text citation on the works cited page. The in-text citation is a piece of that longer works cited page citation, and it just gives you enough information so you can find all the information on the works cited page. So we've talked about a lot in this video. We reviewed what MLA means. We've talked about in-text citations, works cited page citations, the information that's included in those types of citations. We've talked about the connection between the two types, how they're related to each other. I've gone over with you how to use EasyBib and how to format your works cited page. So hopefully this has been So we've gone through a lot in this video. We reviewed what MLA means. We've talked about in-text citations, works cited page citations, what information is included in each type, the connection between the two types, how they are related to each other, and really the reason for having both. I've gone over EasyBib with you again, and I've shown you how to format your works cited page. So hopefully this has been enough information so that you can easily do your works cited page for your research paper. And if not, feel free to, any questions you have, contact me, and I will be more than happy to help you.